It's John Black, Super Chemist again. Where were we at? Oh yeah, this dotted line. Look at this dotted line. That's what separates the blue and the red, right? That is, if you're below that line, you're in an ice age, and it's blue. And if you're above the line, you're not in an ice age. I forget what they call it when you're in the red, but you're not in an ice age anymore, okay? So according to this chart, except for this little piece right there that's orange, or red rather, this ice age has been just going on to almost 40 million years. Keep in mind too, I do believe this is a good chart. I can't remember who did it, but this is, I mean, I've seen this chart by both sides. Everyone knows this chart, man. I mean, this is, and again, like over here, it's going to be a lot different too. Because see this 1 inch here that is 50 million years? Remember on the other chart, 1 inch was only 1,000,000 years. So, you know what I mean? You got to take that million years and push it down here to only be 1/50th of the space, so that the other 49 years can fit into this inch. And that's why, really, you know, remember at the end there's a flat line and then it goes up. That it's like just this line now. Yeah, and it's the line that goes down to the little ice age. That peak, that trough right there, that lowest point, that's the little ice age. And it's at 65 degrees. And I want you to understand that 68 to 70 degrees is room temperature, right? So why wouldn't we want to be above that line? Right? If I said to you, you can only have one heat source, so it's going to put it in the middle of the house, and so it's going to be warmer in, you know, towards the furnace, but on the outsides, you know, where the exterior walls are, it's going to be the coldest. But in between, it can be any temperature you want. You know, to have in the most of the house. What would you want the average? What would you want your average temperature of your house to be? What would you answer me? I think that you would say 68 to 70 degrees, right? Okay, but what if your house was like 10 houses? Would you have the same answer? Would you want the average temperature in the house to be, you know, room temperature, 68 to 70 degrees? I'm going to guess and say you're going to say yes. Well, what if your house, with your 10 houses, was as big as a city? And you're cut off forever, like you're in outer space and the thing that's as big as a city. And you only have one furnace or one energy source for heat, and it just radiates it. So you can't have, you know, perfect heating. You have to have cold on the outside and warm on the inside, and in the middle, you got some perfect, you know, weather. So what would you want your temperature, your floating city in space be? The average temperature, the most of the space in that flying spaceship-sized city. What would you want the average temperature, or most of the, you know, places in that ship that's going to have this average temperature? You know, what would you want it to be? Oh, room temperature maybe? And what if it was what if your city flying through the outer space was as big as a state? You only have one source of energy, just like we have on planet Earth. We have the sun. And then we have, you know, what would you want your average temperature to be for this state? Meaning the most people are going to be in this average area, you know what I mean? What would you want the most of the area to be in the state? Wouldn't you want it to be room temperature? What if it was the size of countries? What if it was the size of planet Earth and there was only one source of, you know, and it can only heat, you know, you're going to have cold spots and you're going to have hot spots, but mostly in between, it's going to be whatever temp, you're going to have an average temperature that's hopefully I would pick to be room temperature. Now, if I ask a child all this, by the time I get up to the planets, because he's going to say yes. He's going to say, yeah, I want it to be room temperature for all these. And even now an adult, when I get to the planets, they'll say, no, that's insane. What I want is, right now, it's at 52.2 degrees. That's too cold. I want it to be like a refrigerator. That's what I want most of the planet to be, a refrigerator. Keeping in mind that 2/7 of our planet is covered in ice. Okay? That's like 1/3. That's almost 1/3 of the planet. 1 freaking third? Are you serious? How much do you want the Earth to be covered up in ice? Because this ain't good enough for people, I guess. 1/3 of the planet covered in ice. That ain't good enough for these people. They want, what do they want? Half the planet? 75%? 90%? Do they want the entire planet to be under ice and us living in the ground? What will make these people happy? Let me ask you this, okay? 95% of the time in the last 650 million years, it has been a higher temperature than it has been today. That means this right here, there's barely anything that's below where we're at, okay? And even if I'm off by, obviously, now that I'm looking at it, it's probably more than 5% or whatever. Oh, that was the one. We are, I know what it is. It's 30%. 30% of the time, we are in a ice age. That means 70% of the time, we ain't. It's not like, see, we have been in this ice age since we existed almost, you know what I mean? Since we crawled out cavemen, you know what I mean? So we don't know anything else. And when you don't know anything else, then that's it. This is the norm. To think otherwise would be crazy. Like, it'd be, it becomes unheard of. That they think this is so normal they don't even realize they're in an ice age anymore because it's just happened for every generation since humans have existed, probably, and they're just used to it. But let me see here. Oh, I get it. Okay. Yeah, it was 70% we were out of the ice age, 30% we were in the ice age, but where we're at here, that anything below that we're not talking about the whole ice age. We're just talking about below this. Pretty much there is about 90% of everything in the past 650 million years was hotter than it was today. Because look here, if you drive over here, only nothing from here to here, nothing is colder. And even when you cut these off, you only have a little tiny, each one of these things is only that little, whatever, and then you only have a half of that, basically. So only from here to here do you have the actual, things that are lower. And this is barely lower, so yeah, it is like 90% of the time, 95% of the time in the last 650 million years, it's been hotter than it has been today. All this time. Like almost 100% of the time, it's been hotter than it has been today. Does anyone grasp that? Does anyone get that? Like, this is better. We've never... this is actually the lowest point right here, this little peak right here, this trough. No one's been colder than that since like 750 million years. And we are like touching it. We're touching it. And everyone's bitching and complaining that we are below this line.
They all say that we will, the polar caps melt, we're going to all flood. Let me ask you this. 10%, they already said, they admit 10% of the thing already melted. It's never coming back. 10%? Nobody even, there's no person that goes to the beach every year even notices an inch that, you know, that water has come up to the land. Not even an inch. Not even an inch. So let me tell you, if it did come in like 5 feet or 3 feet, they would be blasting it all over the news. But it doesn't even go. It doesn't even move an inch. Not even an inch or an inch. Say, oh wow, you lose an inch out of, you know, going around your entire country. Wow, that'll kill everybody. The point is, if that's 10%, and in the summertime, another what? I'm just guessing, but what? Another 30-40% melts during the summertime? So that's like half of the freaking polar. That's half the thing. That's like 40% of the thing, man. So 40% melts, and think about it. That 30% or 40%, whatever melts during the summertime, we don't bat an eye. No one says, oh, we got the beaches are, you know, less because these water comes in the summertime. How can you have 40% of it or whatever it is that melts? How can you have that much and 10% already melted and left and never coming back? And yet we don't even feel an inch. We don't even see an inch of the water, an inch coming in under our land. Because if we did, come on, they'd be on the news. They'd have it all. You know how everyone is now, right? Come on, you know that. But we don't see nothing. We go to the beach every year, and the water is still where it was decade ago. But we think that what? Yeah. What I want to know is when it gets warmer and warmer, right? Hopefully, so we can get out of this ice age that we've been in for either 2.5 million years or like 40 million years. Maybe we can get out of that. We don't have to be afraid that water is going to whatever. See, the thing is if we go above this, we have 2 continents. 1/3 of our continents are under ice. So yes, even if we did lose, say, even a mile inland, which that's not going to happen, you can't have already have all that stuff that melts in the summer, and you don't even see it, you don't even feel it, man. Nobody says nothing about it. What I want to know is when 90% of the caps are gone, and still hasn't come up onto our land more than a foot, okay, going around the whole country, a whole foot, when that happens, and only 10% of the caps are there, are they still going to say, oh, if that 10%, the 90% that already melted, yeah, I know, it didn't do right, it maybe came in an inch, maybe a foot, but that last 10%, that's just going to flood out all the countries. And you know what happens? You got 1/3 of you got a whole third of a planet for free, and what? You lose a foot of land on the perimeter of all the countries? Yeah, that sounds horrible. That sounds horrible. Oh my God. So anyways, we want to get above this line here. We want to be above where 70% of the time we've been in the last 650 million years. You know what I mean? But we definitely want to be higher temperature than this, since 95% of the time in the last 650 million years, we've been above that. We should want to be back there. You know what I mean? Right? Okay? There was one more thing I wanted to say about this graph before I moved on, but I think I'm running out here anyway. But yeah, we're going to go on to a third chart I just found literally while doing these videos right now, and I don't like the chart. I like it, but I don't like it. You know what I mean? Because it is very similar to these other 2 charts, but I'll tell you a couple things I don't like about it, and we'll talk about it on the next video.